Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about repeating yourself. So I've made about 400 of these videos at this point. I've made quite a lot of them and they've been covering a few different topics, namely creative sort of motivation, sort of telling you, you can do it, don't let anyone get in your way, don't let anyone stop you, all that kind of stuff. Mental health, depression, how that's kind of miserable and all that sort of stuff, and then again motivating you but in a different sort of way. Then sort of a little bit politics but not really politics, just kind of telling you again how to be as happy as you can. It all comes down to trying to be your best self, essentially. That's what this is all about, essentially, right? And there's only so many ways that you can say that and without repeating yourself, right? And I've made 400 of these videos at that point, and I've already repeated that. I've already said that. I said that just a few seconds ago, and I've said it again. I've made 400 videos at this point. In fact, it was the exact same phrasing, right? I bet if you go back to an older video, I'm making this exact same point. I'm saying this exact same thing. It's a cycle. It's Groundhog Day, right? But are there not many different facets to saying the same thing in different ways, right? How many different ways can you say that the ocean is blue, right? Well, first off, the ocean is blue. There we are, that's one. Two, the ocean is, and then just insert every variation of blue, teal, cyan, etc., etc., turquoise, just say them all. There you are, that's probably about 15 different ways of saying the ocean is blue. Then you might get into, is the ocean even blue? Water's not blue, water's sort of clear. It looks kind of blue from a distance, but is that, is the ocean being blue more of an optical illusion? And then you could go further and just kind of go, well, who cares if it's blue or not? Why does it matter? And then you could go to, well, are there not more important questions to rather whether the ocean is blue or not? I mean, there's people starving and dying in poverty and all over the place, but we're worrying about whether the ocean's blue, right? Bam. How many different ways was there of just saying that one sentence, right? So there's many different ways of saying the same thing. Not just saying the same thing, but saying variations of the same thing, which is different from saying the same thing, because the ocean is blue, the ocean is cyan, right? The ocean is sort of weird looking, right? Those three have different meanings, right? One, the ocean isn't fucking cyan, it's blue, right? Two, the ocean isn't blue, it's an optical illusion, it's sort of a weird thing, that scientists are working on, right? And three, it's all just a metaphor, hypothetical type thing. So none of it even matters anyway, right? But you see how many different ways of getting the, how much blood you can draw from a stone. There's a lot of blood you can draw from a stone, right? And I've been discovering that because, so many times have I thought that I've got nothing left to say, that I've said everything, I've said it in every single way that there is to say it, and that this is it, right? And that I need to stop, right? In fact, that's kind of why I went from doing 2 videos a day to doing 1 video every 2 days, because I felt like if I kept doing it at that pace, I would run out of things to say. I already felt like I was repeating myself. I felt like I was, covering topics again and again and again. But there's many different topics I can cover. I did 1 video about the apocalypse. I used to say I couldn't do 15 videos about the apocalypse. There's certainly more than 15 videos worth of stuff to talk about. Not just, is the apocalypse going to happen, but what would it be like in the apocalypse? And, what should we do to prepare? And, what could we as a society do to maybe, mitigate the risk of us delving into an apocalypse? And, maybe a philosophical angle to it, or maybe a more of a, societal angle, political angle to it. Maybe more of a personal, oh, I'd miss my family because they'd all die in the apocalypse. There's so many different ways that I could cover that one topic. But I've only done 1 video about that topic for now, right? And I can do more. I'd like to do more because to me it's an interesting thing. I like talking about the apocalypse, right? I liked talking about all that kind of stuff, and I still do. And there's so many different things that I've just kind of briefly touched on that I'd like to get more in depth with. There's so many more questions than just, is the ocean blue, right? Is this hedge green? Well, from your point of view of this nighttime sort of thing with that yellow light up there, it's probably not green. It's probably some sort of weird brown yellow type color. So it's not green, but realistically, I know that this leaf is green, right? So is it green or is it brown? You see brown, but you also know that leaves are green, right? So why are these leaves looking a bit brownish? Because of that light up there. Bam, loads of different things going on there. Why does light make those leaves look a bit brown? Why are all these things happening? Why is this? Why is that? Why is everything? And not just why, but how? And Where? When did this become brown, right? Is it when that light turned on? That kind of feels a bit like the whole, if a tree falls in the middle of the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it really fall over? Well, yeah, of course it fucking did, because it's there, it's fallen over. What is the idea that it just sort of grew out of the fucking ground sideways, already fallen over, dead? It's just a dead tree just grew. It's stupid fucking hypothetical, but it's self-centered and it's self-serving, because it's all about observation. It's about what you observed. Did you observe the tree falling over? No? Well, it didn't matter, right? So many different philosophical things that we could cover throughout that, but do any of them matter? Well, yeah, why not? You know, it doesn't have to be the most important thing in the world. Not every video has to be, you know, tackling the big issues, right? I don't want to tackle the big issues every fucking day of my life. I've got more important things to do. So there's all sorts of things that we could do, all sorts of things that we could talk about. You know, why do we have to get into big things? What about small things? You know, I was on the train earlier today, right? And I was trying to get on the, you know, the barriers for the Oyster card thing, right? And there's a little ticket barriers that open when you scan your Oyster card. So I scanned my Oyster card and I was going through the gate and I felt a bit of a oof behind me, right? And I was a bit, ugh, right? So I turn around and there's this really, like, I don't know, crackheady type fella, right? And he just kind of gives me a bit of a grin, just like, huh. Got my meal ticket out of that. I got my free ride out of you. And I was just like, you motherfucker, right? That's a little thing. Do we need to turn that into some kind of big societal thing? I mean, you know, why is he a crackhead? There's loads of, is there an opiate problem? I know crack isn't an opiate, but you get my point. There's loads of issues going on there. Why is he the way that he is? Why is he such a knobhead, right? What's, you know, the deal with the goodness and the badness of man, right? We could get into loads of big topics. That's why people make art about small things and then people come up with big questions around it. That's why people who, you know, make little pieces of art about things that aren't really that significant, they put them out into the world and then people take deeper meanings from them. Like, say, the Big Les show. People take all sorts of weird metaphors from it. And, you know, they don't need to, because it's just a stupid show about Australians taking fucking LSD, right? And it's a fun show. I love the show, and I feel like as time went on, they probably leaned into some of that stuff, and I feel like the show was better for it. But it's taking, you know, there is truth and importance and reason and meaning to everything, right? And that reasoning and meaning and all that sort of shit is completely subjective. It's not, you know, scientifically observational, right? We can't observe someone who's sad and go, they are sad because X, Y, and Z, right? I mean, maybe there's like brain stuff going on, which is like, you know, the dopamine receptors are kind of closing up shop because your girlfriend broke up with you or whatever, right? Maybe there's reasons behind these things, but the things themselves, how are we supposed to grasp at what they are? Are they scientific? Are they artistic? And when I say artistic, I mean more just subjective in general, because, I mean, everything is a painting that hasn't been painted yet. So, and that's just the most pretentious fucking thing you could ever say, isn't it? So, I find all of these questions really interesting, and I think there's so many ways of covering them. And I find that these videos are an incredibly efficient way of covering them. I find that doing these videos really makes it easy for me to tackle issues and to, you know, figure out who I am, where I'm going, what I think about stuff, right? Compared to, you know, trying to get a message out there via music. If I want to write a song about death, right? Well, first I have to compose the song, I have to write the lyrics, I have to mix the song, master the song, and I have to release the song. So that's 5 core steps, right? And then on top of that, say I need to get the instruments or whatever, I need to do the technical stuff, I've been learning how the mixing software works, or whatever, downloading the VSTs or the MIDI or whatever, and then going down the rabbit hole of Googling, well, what MIDI fucking VST is the best for strings, what one's the best for drums, what one's the best for electronic squelchy bass lines, you know? There's so many different things that go on there that take a long time. And I can admittedly make a song decently quickly, but I feel like this is so much more efficient. And I feel like I'm covering so many things that I would never dream of being able to cover. I was able to do a video about how when I was a kid, I was sat in a hospital waiting room and I thought, I really want to be a dog when I grow up, right? I would never have done anything about that. If it was a song or a film, I wouldn't have made a film about it, I wouldn't have made a song about it. It's not that important. But I can make a little video like this about it, just talking about it, kind of openly and earnestly. And I feel like, for some reason, that for me really works. It's one of my ideal ways of getting a message out there, is just talking and just saying the message. David Lynch, for instance, rest in peace, David Lynch, but he said that he didn't like explaining his films. He didn't like explaining his art because he liked the mystery behind it. And I understand where he's coming from, because you can get so many interpretations out of a core idea, right, from the misunderstandings of it. Because David Lynch has his own idea of what Blue Velvet means, and it's very, very different to what my interpretation of Blue Velvet is. And if he never tells me, right, then he's the one that has the objectively most correct interpretation of Blue Velvet, because he made it, right? He certainly has a more objectively correct interpretation than I do, right? But that doesn't mean that my interpretation is wrong. And if he just went around going, oh, Blue Velvet is about death or whatever, right? Then suddenly my interpretation of it being about, I don't know, the human condition, it's not quite as valid anymore, because he's already debunked it. He said, no, it's not about the human condition, it's about death. Right? So shut up, stop talking about how Blue Velvet is about the human condition, because it's about death, and fuck off, right? And that's kind of how I feel. But I feel like it's quite fun being able to just openly just go into the topic, just delve straight in, just get into it, and just, I find that interesting. I find that really satisfying and fascinating, because there's so much that we have to do, so much that we have to explore and discover in this world. Right? And there's so many things that I can make a video about, so many things that I can cover, so many topics that I can tackle, right? I've done 400 videos at this point, and sure, I've repeated that 3 times, but it's all been in different contexts, hasn't it? So you can repeat yourself as many times as you want, as long as when you repeat yourself, you're still doing something even a little bit new, right? And when eventually this gets boring for me, then I will pack it in. But I still find it really interesting, whether I'm repeating myself or I'm not repeating myself, whether I'm saying something new or I'm conveying the same idea in a different light, in a different way, it doesn't matter, because what's important is that there's fulfillment within it, and that a message is getting out there, and that for some reason these videos have an impact on people. I don't know why, but I get messages from you people on like Instagram and email and stuff, so talking about how, you know, they've really helped you out and stuff like that, and I wish I responded to more of them. I wish I need to do better at, you know, community engagement and that kind of thing, but I don't know, to me the community engagement is making these videos. To me, this is the culmination of all the inspiration that yous have given me, because if it weren't for the audience, I'd have jacked this in after about 30, 40 videos. I'd have got bored of it, right? But now I've done 400 videos, right? And I've said that 4 times, right? And again, in different contexts every single time. So there you are, there you have it. That is what I think about repeating yourself. Can you repeat yourself? Yes, because every time you repeat yourself, something new comes out of it. Even if you feel like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, there's more blood that you can draw from a stone than you can possibly imagine. And I've drawn the same amount of blood from the stone twice, because I've said that twice in this very video. I bet I've said it in other videos. So thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. I hope you managed to get something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care, and bye-bye. There we are.